Congress must also take action against another poison of our age, that of rampant gun violence. Australia is no stranger to gun safety legislation. They famously took strong action in the 1990s and saw gun violence plummet.
You know, the claim that Senator Schumer just made just a couple days after the Australian mass public shooting is a myth based on completely flawed statistics. It's been repeated over and over again by politicians from Obama to Hillary Clinton to Joe Biden. It's repeated in every place from the New York Times to the Washington Post over and over again. The problem is the opposite happened. If you look at the statistics, what it's based on is looking at simple before and after averages for firearm homicides and firearm suicides. And that's just not the way you do statistics usually. Let me explain. You had firearm homicides and firearm suicides were falling for about 15 years prior to the gun confiscation in Australia in 1996 and 97. Take a simple example. Suppose you had a perfectly straight line that was falling over the entire period. Any point that you could pick along that line, the after average would be below the before average. But if you looked at the line and it's falling at exactly the same rate before and after any point that you picked there, you look at it and you say, well, you know, what changed? It was moving at exactly the same rate both before and afterwards. So it'd be hard to go and see that it had any impact. What you'd want to do is say, does the line start falling at a faster rate or a slower rate? Was there some discontinuity that occurred in the line? Those would be the things you would look at to see whether it had an impact. And if you look at it, what you find is that it's falling for 15 years prior to the confiscation. And then with regard to firearm homicides, it remains flat. With regard to firearm suicides, it continues to go down, but at a much slower rate than was occurring beforehand. And there's another problem, and that is just looking at things like firearm suicides and firearm homicides. Economists would look at things also like total suicides or total homicides. And if you look at total suicides, because there are different ways that people can go and commit suicide, what you find is that while there was this drop, but a slower rate of drop for firearm suicides, total suicides actually rose right after the confiscation. It went up by about 20%, and it remained higher or as high as it was immediately prior to the confiscation for up to like 15 years or so after the confiscation. With regard to firearm homicides, you in fact find total homicides don't go down. They basically stay the same over the entire period afterwards. You go out 15 years and they're higher than they were prior to the confiscation that was there. So it's very hard to go and look at this data and see any benefit. If I see it falling and then it falls more slowly or stops falling afterwards, I would say, if anything, that's evidence that it didn't work. In fact, it may even be evidence that it was bad. I'm not going to go and blame the increase in total suicides on the gun confiscation, but it seems pretty strong evidence to me that it didn't go and reduce suicides as being claimed. Anyway, you know, this is a myth that's been out for a long, long time. In the links in this video, I'll put in sources so that people can go and double check things themselves. Thank you very much for your time, and this is just another myth that we need to get rid of. And I think actually endangers people's safety. And the reason is because they're not dealing with the fundamental thing that is involved in either the mass shooting in Australia or the mass shooting that we had in Brown University or in so many other places. There's a reason why 92% of the mass public shootings in the United States take place in areas where guns are banned. These murderers may be crazy in some sense, but they're not stupid. Their goal is to get media coverage. They want to commit suicide, but they want people to know that they were here. And they know the more people they kill, the more media coverage that they're going to get. And they know if they go to a place where their victims aren't able to defend themselves, they're going to be able to go and kill more people and get more media coverage. You don't need to get rid of the First Amendment. I'm not even sure how you would rewrite the First Amendment. But what you need to do is, when you read the diaries and manifestos over and over again, these murderers make clear what their goal is. And if you can take away their goal, if you can take away the fact that they think that they can go and get a lot of media coverage because they can kill lots of people, and you can stop them from killing people by having somebody quickly there who's going to be able to go and use a gun to go and stop the attack, you can take away their benefit, and you can take away their desire to go and do these types of attacks. At some place, people have always wanted to commit suicide, but at some place along the line, these individuals who feel unappreciated thought they could get a lot of attention on their way out by going and killing lots of other people. And the media has provided them with that type of coverage. Anyway, thank you very much for your time, and I hope we'll do more of these types of videos. Thank you.